Let's forward her back. Oh, are you recording now?
Oh, wow.
Okay, so we're in our notes, page 38, number 2. So last time we were together, we talked about what this meant right here. So this means the angle whose tangent is 3/4. So I'm going to draw a picture of that angle. The angle whose tangent is 3/4. Opposite over adjacent, 3/4. Okay? Now, I'm going to do the Pythagorean Theorem to figure out what my hypotenuse is. So my hypotenuse is, just a second. Sweetie, did you want to drop that off? Just send me an email. Give me the candy and send an email. Thank you. Okay. All right, so my hypotenuse is 5 because x squared is 25, so x would be 5. We'd be just using the Pythagorean Theorem. Now, this is a picture of this angle right here. So all I've done so far is draw a picture of the angle that has a tangent of 3/4. You guys can bring it out this way. Okay, bring it out this way. Now, what do I want to know about that angle? I want to know its sine. So looking at the angle, which is always at the origin, the sine would be 3/5. So the opposite over hypotenuse. So the answer to this question is 3/5. So step 1, draw that angle. Opposite is 3, adjacent is 4. Do the Pythagorean Theorem, get the hypotenuse. Then answer the question, which is what's the sine? Opposite over hypotenuse, 3/5. All right, I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to start right here. So I'm going to draw my triangle. And the sine opposite over hypotenuse is 5/13. I'm looking only in the parentheses right now. So doing the Pythagorean Theorem, x squared plus 5 squared equals 13 squared. X squared plus 25 is 169. You can use your calculator if you need help with the arithmetic. So x squared equals 144 and x equals 12. The square root of 144. So now I know all my sides, and I'm ready to answer the question. What's the cosine? Well, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so that'll be 12/13. So the answer to the question is 12/13. All right, C. Now, C has one of those negative numbers in it. And remember, I promised you that if the number was negative, I would tell you which quadrant to draw it in. So I will. This is a negative number right here. Remember, I'm looking at this part right here first. That's what I'm drawing a picture of. Is that it?
One more class.
So the angle whose sine is -4/5 is in quadrant 4. Okay? So we're going to draw this in quadrant 4. You do not need to know that. I am going to tell you that. The angle is in quadrant 4. Okay? Now, what do I know about that angle? Its sine opposite over hypotenuse. Remember, I'm not looking at this. I'm looking at this. Opposite over hypotenuse is -4/5. So I'll do my Pythagorean Theorem. X squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared. Remember, I don't need to worry about the negative because I'm squaring. So x squared plus 16 equals 25, and x squared equals 9. So this is 3. what's the tangent? Now that I know all the sides, I can find the tangent. Tangent is opposite over adjacent, so the answer is -4/3. Opposite over adjacent. Okay? Let's look at the next one. So always start in the parentheses. We're going to draw a picture of an angle, and that's a positive, so we're going to draw it right here in quadrant 1. And the tangent is 2/3. So opposite over adjacent is 2/3. Now I'll do my Pythagorean theorem. 2 squared plus 3 squared equals x squared. So 4 plus 9. So it looks like it's going to be the square root of 13. So now I've drawn this. All I've done so far is this right here. I do a picture, opposite and adjacent, 2 and 3. Did the Pythagorean theorem, got root 13. Now I'm ready to answer the question, what's the cosine? Here's your angle, always at the origin. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So 3 over root 13. Or 3 root 13 over 13. Okay, just a couple more of these. They're pretty easy. Just remember to start inside the parentheses. Just like you always do. We always start inside the parentheses. So, we're going to draw a picture of an angle. That's positive. It's going to be quadrant 1. And adjacent over hypotenuse is root 7 over 4. Pythagorean theorem, root 7 squared plus x squared equals 4 squared. Now remember, when you square root 7, you just get 7. So 7 plus x squared equals 16. X squared equals 9, and x equals 3. So far, all I've done is the parentheses. Now I'll find the sine of that picture. Here's my angle. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, so the answer is 3/4. All right, try this next one on your own. See if you can draw a picture of it and figure out what the sides of your triangle are. So again, you're drawing a picture of the parentheses right here. So we're in quadrant 1. See if you can draw it. Adjacent over hypotenuse. So hopefully you put a 3 here and a 4 here, adjacent over hypotenuse, cosine, adjacent over hypotenuse. Remember, we're not looking at this. Don't let that confuse you. Don't look at it. Then we're going to do the Pythagorean theorem. So 3 squared plus x squared equals 4 squared. So 9 plus x squared equals 16. X squared equals 7. So x is going to be the square root of 7. Now, once you've done all that, so far we haven't even looked at this. All this is this right here. Now we look at that. What is the tangent? That's what I'm trying to figure out. So the tangent is opposite over adjacent. Opposite over adjacent. Root 7 over 3. All right. That takes care of 4.7. So that homework will be due in 2 class days, 2 school days, 2 days. So if you're looking at this on Thursday, then it's due on Monday. If we're looking at it on Friday, then it's due on Tuesday, 4.7. All right, let's look at 4.8. This is actually review. We actually had a problem like this on a quiz already. It says draw a picture, write an equation, solve it, round to the nearest hundred. So I'm going to need my calculator, and I'm going to need to be set in degrees. So I'm going to make sure that my calculator is set in degrees. Now, I have a bird in the top of a tree. Remember these? We did these already. I have a bird in the top of a tree. Here he is. And there's a point on the ground out here. And the point on the ground is 100 feet from the base of the tree. And the bird is 18 feet above the ground. And I need to find the angle of elevation. Okay? So I need to set up an equation for the tangent. Oh, I gave it away. I need to set up an equation for this picture. So in this picture, I have opposite, this is the angle, I have opposite and adjacent. So the tangent is the function I'm going to use. And when I write my equation, it's always tangent angle. So don't say tan 18, don't say tan 100, it's tan x equals opposite over adjacent. So tangent equals 18 over 100. Now remember, this is the tricky one. When the angle is what you are looking for, then what we type in on our calculator is second tangent. Now we are using our calculator. So it's not like these where we were drawing pictures and all that. We're just typing this in on our calculator. So I'm set in degrees. Second tangent, 18 divided by 100 is 10.20. So the answer is 10.20 degrees. That is the angle. Okay? That's easy. We did those already. Let's do the next one. Find the distance from a worm on the ground to a bird in the top of a tree if the bird's angle of depression is 24 degrees and the tree is 19 feet tall. So here's the bird looking down at the worm, or the worm's looking up at the bird, whatever. The tree is 19 feet tall. The angle's 24, and I'm looking for, find the distance from the worm to the bird. So that's x. Literally, the distance from the worm to the bird. So I'm going to write a function, or write an equation using sine, cosine, or tangent. It will not be tangent this time, because tangent needs opposite and adjacent. That isn't what I have here. What do I have here? I have opposite and hypotenuse. So sine 24 equals 19 over x. Remember, the angle always gets hooked to the sine, or cosine, or tangent. So I'll multiply by x and divide. So the answer is going to be 19 divided by sine 24, which is 46.71 feet. Letter C. We literally did these before. You know how to do these. How tall is a flagpole? How tall is the flagpole that casts a 23-foot shadow when the angle of elevation of the sun is 32 degrees? take a look at that picture. Does that make sense to you? Remember, shadows are on the ground. So when they say we have a 23-foot shadow, that's got to go on the ground. All right, this looks like another tangent to me. Does it to you? Tangent 32 equals x over 23. This is an easy one now. Multiply the 23. And that, my friends, is it. So 23 tan 42. And the flagpole is 14.37 feet tall. Perfect. All right, a couple more. Now these are draw only. So you're not going to come up with an answer this time. You're just going to draw a picture of it. So we got a ship that's sailing for 4 hours on a course of 125. So first I'm going to draw my compass. And 125 would be down here. This is 125 degrees. So we start up here at north, that's 0, 90, 125. And then he changes to a course of 195. I'm going to deal with that in a second. First, the ship is traveling at a speed of 10 knots. A knot is a nautical mile per hour. It's a speed. So it's like saying he's going 10 miles an hour. So this vector right here that I just drew, this course right here that he's on, that guy is 40 long because he went for 4 hours at 10 miles an hour. 4 hours, 10 miles an hour, it makes that 40. All right, now he's going to change course though. And now he's going to be on a course of 195. Okay, so remember, kids, this is 0, this is 90, this is 180. Isn't 195 a little bit past 180? So I drew it down here. Now I actually drew that too long because how long is he traveling on this second leg of his journey? Just 1 hour. So 1 hour at 10 miles an hour would make this how long? 10. So the first leg of the journey was 40 because he was going 4 hours at 10 miles an hour. The second leg of the journey was only 10 because he was going 1 hour at 10 miles an hour. The first course was 125. The second course was 195. This is his ending point right there. That's where he is at the end of this problem. And all we're doing is drawing a picture of that. So that's it. That's it. Next, we have an airplane flying at a speed of 250 miles per hour for 3 hours on a course of 50 degrees. So keeping in mind that 0 and 90, then 50 would be like right here. That's 50. And that vector that I just drew there, actually, I'm going to redraw this picture down here. I'm going to get up under the TV here in a minute. So let me just redraw. Here's my 50 right here. Okay? Now, how long is that? He went 250 miles an hour for 3 hours. 250 miles every hour for 3 hours. Isn't this 750 miles? 250 times 3? 250 in the first hour, 250 in the second hour, 250 in the third hour. 750 miles he traveled. All right, then he's going to change course. And now he's going on a course of 350. Now keeping in mind 0, 90, 180, 270, wouldn't 350 be like right here? All the way around, almost all the way around. And he's going 300 miles an hour for 2 hours. So that one's 600 long. 300 miles an hour for 2 hours. And he's right here now. That's a stopping point, because that's it. The problem's over. And he's done. So 4-8 is done. So 4-7 and 4-8 homework will be due at the same time, on the same day. So 2 days from now, two school days from now, whether we're in person or not, those 2 assignments are due. Okay, now there's one more thing before I'm done. I would like for you to get out a scrap piece of paper, or a piece of paper, just a piece of notebook paper. You can stop the video while you go find your paper. Or maybe you have some handy, which would be wonderful. Because we are now going to practice for a quiz. And the quiz that we're going to have is going to be one graph. You're going to do one graph. And the graph you do is either going to be a sine graph or a cosine graph, or a tangent graph. Okay, that's what you're going to do. You're going to have one problem. Some of you are going to have this, some of you are going to have that, some of you are going to have that. So let's practice each of these and make sure you got it. First thing you're going to want to do is get the shape down. This is a sine, which is the hill and the valley. This is the cosine, which is the snowboarding thing. Woo! And this is the one with the asymptotes and the squiggly line. So we have an asymptote and an asymptote and a squiggly line through the origin. So again, your quiz has one problem, one of these, you don't know which one. But the first thing you're going to do when you get your quiz is you're going to get the sketch down, the basic shape. All right, let's come back down here to the sine. This number, remember, gives you your amplitude. So we're going to go up to and down to. If it's a sine or a cosine, this number is your height number. So the amplitude of this picture is 2. Now these labels, and again, I keep saying this, we label the high and the low and where we cross the axis. And those should be 90, 180, 270, and 360. But we've changed them in this problem. We have divided them all by 3. So if we divide them by 3, we get 30, 60, 90, and 120. So our period is 120 degrees. This number divides the period. So start with your basic labels, 90, 180, 270, 360, and divide by 3 in this case. Okay. Well, let's do the same exact thing with our cosine. The difference is this amplitude is only a third. So this is a third, and this is negative a third, because of that guy right there. Now again, I'm labeling low point, high point, and where I cross. And those should be 90, 180, 270, 360. But they're not, because of this number right here. That divides the period numbers. So we're going to divide by a half, divide by a half, divide by a half, divide by a half. Use your calculator if you need to. When you divide by a half, you're essentially multiplying by 2. So 90 divided by a half is 180, 360, 540, 540, and 720. Period is from beginning to end, so the period of this curve is 720 degrees. Now this one's different. This one doesn't have high points and low points and all that stuff. It has an asymptote and asymptote. Now, that 8 right there, that 8 impacts your amplitude, right? Just like this impacted your amplitude and this impacts your amplitude. But what do we know about the tangent? It doesn't have amplitude. So since the tangent doesn't have amplitude, I don't need to worry about it. No amplitude. Don't worry about that 8. But you do have to worry about this. The normal asymptotes are negative 90 and 90. But that number right there is going to divide them. Calculator might come in handy here. 90 divided by 4 is 22 and a half. So we have an asymptote at negative 22 and a half and positive 22 and a half, which means my period from here to here, how many steps do you have to take? Well, you got to take 22 and a half to get to here, and another 22 and a half, so your period is 45 degrees. Next time I see you in person, we're having that quiz. One problem, graphing it. Okay. Have a great day. I hope you're having a great day. Take care of yourselves, and I hope to see you soon. Don't forget to bring in your cereal next time we have class. Bye-bye.